How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to New Mexico State Men's Basketball News. I'm Marshall, and today's video, we're going to talk about Jae'Coby Osborne and Gabe Pickens, are two returning players from last year who played Marvin Cox redshirt last year. He'll be a part of the team this upcoming year, maybe get a little bit more minutes. But Gabe Pickens and Jae'Coby Osborne are the first freshmen we had in a while that, earned significant minutes. So having them back is huge. And I feel like by the time they're juniors and seniors, they're going to be really, really good for us. Maybe some of our top players, top dogs. I feel like this next year, they're going to contribute at a high level as well. We also have a lot of great scorers and defenders coming in, but I feel like they'll still fit the team really well. And, this past year, having Robert Carpenter, Jaden Harris, Christopher Jae'Coby, and Christian Cook all come back, they were great returners, made it easier on some of the new guys, helped them transition well. And hopefully Gabe and Jae'Coby can kind of do the same thing. And there's no doubt in my mind that they will. So let's get straight into this video and talk about what they do well and how they can contribute at a high level for the upcoming years. First, we'll talk about Gabe Pickens since he played the most. There's only 2 games he did not play in. They were big games, but he played in many big games against UNM, some of the tournament games he played in, and had significant roles in those games. I believe he had 9 points in the last game against Kennesaw State, had 14 points early in the season in a game, had double figures in some games, had 7 points against the Division II schools. So, overall, he had some big scoring games, but that's not really, big part of his game. Big part of his game is being a pass-first point guard, being a traditional point guard, getting his teammates involved. He can assist at a high level. Not sure what his assist-to-turnover ratio is. I know that definitely went up throughout the year. Especially against UNM, he didn't score, had a few big turnovers. That's a big game, his first rival game. I expect this next year, especially at home, for him to have a much better game against them and score a few buckets, get his teammates involved. I'm not sure if he'll start this upcoming year. I would assume that he'll come on the bench again. I feel like the following year he can definitely start, especially as a junior with more years under his belt. But I feel like with all the dominant guards we have scoring-wise, it's going to be hard for him to start. Definitely think he can do it. He's a bit undersized, 6 foot, but a strong 6 foot guy. Has similar strength to Scoot Henderson, who's my favorite player in the Blazers. So expecting big things out of Gabe this upcoming year. Jae'Coby's a guy who we've talked about a lot in this channel. Didn't earn significant minutes until halfway through conference play, but made his presence known against Middle Tennessee. I believe he had 2 to 3 steals, had a big dunk, had 5 points, hit some good threes here and there. Shooting definitely wasn't his strong suit, so I definitely hope that improves. And his free throw shooting actually started off really good. The first game against New Mexico Highlands, he's only in the game for a few minutes, got 4 points. Made both his free throws, looked more consistent than anybody else on the team. Even my friends and I were joking about the game, saying that he shot free throws better and he wasn't getting, minutes. So hopefully that he would get more minutes throughout the year. And obviously he missed a big free throw against Kennesaw State, but he's also one that grabbed the rebound and got the putback for the and one, which is huge. Sadly, again, I've said this before, I knew he was going to probably miss that free throw, but if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have had a chance to win that game. And yeah, he missed a shot, but, we missed 12 free throws that game in general. Some of them from him, some of them from Rob, from Cook. So, it wasn't all his fault, and he did everything he could. He played hard, hustled hard, and one of my favorite players on the team this past year for sure. Even though Gabe and him didn't start in a game this past year, and I don't know if they'll start this upcoming year, they're still dogs, and I feel like they're going to earn big minutes. And for sure, by the time they're juniors, I think they'll get big minutes. Because unfortunately, again, all the big-time players we have coming in, a lot of them are seniors, so a lot of them are going to leave. No doubt in my mind that Hooten's going to go out and get some more dogs, for the following years. But there's always a chance they're going to be younger guys, and Gabe and Jae'Coby are going to be getting older with more years of experience under the belt and going to be big-time players. They're both guys last year, you might look at the stats, average around 3 points a game, nothing too crazy. But if you watch the games, you see how their presence is felt. And I feel like by the time they are juniors and seniors, that they're going to be averaging double figures in points. And I think Gabe Pickens has a chance to get a lot of double-doubles with points and assists. I think Jae'Coby has a potential to get a lot of 10 points, 10 rebound games, even have games where he gets like 5 steals possibly. I think that's the type of players they can develop into. Not sure if we'll see that all this year, but definitely their junior and senior years. If they stay with NMSU, obviously. If they go somewhere else, I think they can do the same thing. But obviously, I would love to see them dominate for us. Gabe can shoot the ball a little bit better than Jae'Coby. There were some games where Gabe was knocking down the shot really well. And a lot of times, there was so much attention on Cook that he was wide open for threes. He had a couple games where he had 2 or 3 threes. I think that's something I do want to see go up as well. He wouldn't, he would take them at times, especially if he was wide open. But I do want to see him take at least 1 to 3 threes a game. I think it's definitely something he can do and be in his arsenal. And I think he can be a guy who shoots at least 33% from 3, which isn't bad at all. Definitely, he could probably shoot higher than that. But I'd like to see him shoot the ball a little bit more from the outside. Again, I know he's more getting his teammates involved. In high school, he was a 3-star athlete, just like Jae'Coby was, but he wasn't for his scoring. He averaged 12 points a game, averaged like 5 to 7 assists, averaged 3 to 5 boards. So he does a little bit of everything, but can play really good defense too. Even though he's a little undersized, being only 6 foot. And again, I say only 6 foot. That's pretty tall for normal standards. Him and I are about the same height. But for basketball standards, not super, super tall, especially college basketball at the point guard position. But you see Liberty, they have some guys who are like 5'7", 5'9", 5'11", all starting. So it's about the heart that matters, and I think he has that. Again, super strong guy and can play defense at a high level, and that's Jae'Coby's bread and butter. Obviously, Gabe, like we're saying, played great defense, a little bit better of a shooter than Jae'Coby, but I think Jae'Coby's a little bit better of a defender. If he's not getting going on the offensive end, you can always count on him to get it going on the defensive end. And something I'm really looking forward to this upcoming season, I was seeing some clips about it recently, his putback dunks. He had a bunch of them at home, at the Pan Am, and even on the road. That got me up and out of my seat, and I was going crazy. That's something I miss about. We talked about Rob yesterday, something I forgot to mention. I'm going to miss Rob getting me out of my seat when he hit big threes. We could always count on him most to hit those shots, and I'm hoping Gabe and Jae'Coby can, step up in big moments like that. They had their moments last year for sure, but a lot of times it wasn't in close games like that. I want to see them do that more in close games, and I think they definitely have the potential to do that this year, and I think they'll do it a lot their last 2 years in college. These two players have the chance to do something that players don't do often nowadays, and we haven't seen it at NMSU in a long time. Stay at NMSU or just stay at one school all 4 years and only 4 years. They didn't redshirt, so they would play 4 years just like the good old days. That's how it was for everybody. A lot of times players would stay at the same school for 4 years, specifically at NMSU. I think Marvin Cox has a chance to do the same, but he could be here for 5 years because of him redshirting. It's not one of those things where you have a guy playing at the same school for 6-7 years or switching schools every year, playing for 8 schools total. It's crazy. So Gabe and Jae'Coby have a chance to do something that unfortunately not a lot of college players do anymore, which is crazy to think. If you would have told someone that like 10 years ago, they'd think you're crazy. Well, we're not. Overall, I think Gabe's a really smart player. Can really tone it down a bit, calm down. Sometimes, he can turn over the ball a little bit. But again, last year as a freshman, that's going to happen. You're going to learn from those mistakes. And he had a lot more good games than he did bad games. And even the games he didn't score, kind of like with Jae'Coby, still did it good on other things, like getting 3 or 4 assists when he was in. Again, assist to turnovers ratio was pretty high. Jae'Coby, even when he wasn't scoring, he was, getting rebounds, playing good defense. There was games he was like 0 for 5 from the field, but he had 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 assists. It's not all in the scoring. And those guys are true definition of that. Even if they're not our 2 best players next year, there still are 2 players coming back from last year that got significant minutes. So whenever Coach Huden is drawing us some plays or trying to teach the new guys some drills, those guys can teach them, how to properly do them. And doing that at a young age, they're going to be sophomores teaching seniors or guys who have been in school for 5 or 6 years. For them being 4 years younger, able to teach those guys, that's going to teach them great leadership skills. So by the time they are juniors and seniors, and if they're still at NMSU or any school they're at, that'll come naturally to them, those leadership skills. And there's no doubt in my mind they can be very similar to Christian Cook in that aspect. Maybe not player-wise, but just leadership-wise. And they can definitely develop into great players. I bring in Christian Cook. Obviously, all their games are completely different, but I think the leadership skills can be similar. And I feel like Gabe and Jae'Coby can still turn into great players, even if it's not their shooting ability, defense, passing. Christian Cook was obviously shooting. It's great to have a great mix. That makes for a great team. Hence why we had a winning year this past year for the first time since 2021 to 22. And I think we have a chance to do it again this next year. Hopefully go a little bit farther. Hopefully get 20-plus wins, win a CUSA title, go to the tournament. I think the potential is definitely there. I'll make a prediction video before the season starts, probably a week or 2 before, in October. So about 4 months from now, which seems like a lot, but it's going to go by quick. Last year, I predicted the Aggies to go 18-13. They went 17-14. I did predict them to get a tournament win and then lose in the second round. They got the first round, unfortunately. So I was just 1 game off, but hopefully this next year, if I'm 1 game off, hopefully it's 1 game and, where they have 1 more win or a couple more wins that I would expect them to. The potential is there. Again, a lot more great scores. And, last year's team only had 3 returners, just like this team's only going to have 3 more returners. And again, hopefully Marvin Cox can get a little bit more minutes and show his worth. I've said this before and I'll say it again. All 3 of those guys, Marvin Cox, Jae'Coby Osborne, and Gabe Pickens, I know I'm saying their names a lot, but that's obviously what the video is about. All great dudes. I've seen them at Chick-fil-A before, seen them on campus. They're always cool to run into and talk hoops. And who knows, maybe I'll get 1 of them, 2 of them, or all 3 on the channel all at once or all separate. I'll be writing articles for the school and stuff, so I might go to those guys to get some quotes since they're returners and since I know them personally. Be a lot easier to do. They're big supporters. They always repost my stuff, always like my stuff. So big shout out to them. So Gabe, he got into, double-figure scoring a couple of times. I don't believe that Jae'Coby did. That's something I would like to see him do. Again, I know he's not a big-time scorer yet, but I think he's definitely due for at least 1 or 2 double-digit scoring games, even if it's against a Division II school to start the year. Coach Huden, I was watching an interview recently talking about how hard it is to, schedule schools, to play non-conference wise right now. Let me know what you guys think about this. Should we schedule games against GCU? I was talking about that with some friends of mine recently. I think it'd be really dope. We haven't played GCU since the hazing year, and obviously we were at a disadvantage because that team was just not, in the right, state of mind. And then we lost them 3 times during the COVID year. I think we're 19-6 against them overall. We beat them more than not at home all the time. And we're actually 19-4 in the first 23 home games under Coach Huden. I made a post about that today, so you guys should go check that out on Instagram, Twitter, here on YouTube as well, on my community posts. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. Should we play against GCU? Because that'd be dope. Playing against Liberty, GCU, UNM, UTEP all in the same year. That'd be really cool to do. that's going to close out for the video today. Just want to talk a little bit about those guys. I know I've talked about them a lot, and you guys know them very well, being returners, obviously. But I thought it'd be make a cool video to dedicate it to them. I made a video on them last year, actually, talking about how they're going to be great for us. And, they proved me right. They had a good year this past year, and really excited they're coming back. And even though sometimes, you look at the stat sheet, it doesn't tell the whole story from how they, how well they played in the game. I'm expecting them to stuff the stat sheets a little bit more this upcoming year, have some more double-figure scoring games, and up their scoring a little bit, but still do everything else well. Rebound the ball at a high level, getting teammates involved, playing defense, just growing as leaders and as players themselves. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I'm out.